Sebastian from the Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I have the pleasure to be joined by
Silly and
Go.
from GAMA BOMB. Hi, how you doing?
It's great to be chatting to you today. Your new EP is a Thrasher's treat. How glad are you kept those four monsters and it gets released soon? Getting excited?
Joe, what do
Yeah,
you think?
I guess there were kind of like four songs that we had left over from the last record, and we're actually really happy with them. And usually, what happens is you have songs that are left over from the last album that you're kind of happy were not on the record. But this time, I guess, Philly, you would say like we thought were actually some of the best songs.
Yeah, weird. It's a weird thing. Like Joe was kind of saying there, we don't tend to look back or reuse things much. You
Mhm.
know, we've almost always written extra songs when we make an album. And normally those songs never come back. We don't really do B-sides. We don't really do, you know what I mean? We don't really do anything like that. And we've never needed to. But with this one, we had those four songs and we knew they had something. We knew everything that was going towards that album had something really going on. Pardon me, Wendy Pops. And then we were like, right, trying to go back and look at those songs again. And when we looked at them again, we were just like, these are brilliant. What happened at the time? These could have been on the album any day of the week. So, yeah, I mean, it was exceptional for us. It's probably a sign of how much work we put into the album. You know, that album, Bats, we wrote 30 pieces of music for that album.
Wow.
Some of them like fully finished, some of them just sketches or no singing or whatever, but like 30 pieces of music. So, you know, we ended up with 17 songs basically. So that's what four of these are from that period. And we've gone back and taken a look at them and maybe given them something that they needed to get them over the line or whatever. And yeah, it's brilliant. So like in a way, it's a different thing. It's kind of music from this same period, but it's not B-sides. You know, it's not the
Yeah.
offcuts or whatever. So yeah, I'm really glad that you liked it. What did you think? What was your favorite song on it?
First one, Nunchucks.
Nunchucks.
Yeah,
Should
that's
have
my favorite. That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my
known.
favorite. Yeah.
It's a song that asks very little of the listener apart from going nunchucks.
Simple, isn't it? It's a bit of
Mhm.
fun, bit of metal. Yeah, love it.
That's the
Good for
brief.
the gym. It's good for the gym. You like it? Come on. Yeah, so it is a full package. I love the artwork with Snowy and the visual art effects, like from Victorian times, are like really cool, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we're big fans of the Victorian thing, aren't we, Joe?
Yeah, and I guess it's something that we've thought about a couple of times whenever we've been thinking about a theme for a record is doing something that was like I guess Victorian or had a bit of a kind of what would you describe it as, Philly? Like a early like 1900s like interest in the occult.
Yeah, Edwardian kind of thing. So the album Sea Savage that we did had a very Victorian theme. It had like engravings of the band
Yeah,
instead of
I love all that.
photos, and the inlay was done like a Victorian theatre card. So we've definitely touched on it before, but we're not done with it because it's so cool. So yeah, this is kind of like a Victorian Edwardian thing. The art was by Graham Humphreys. We're very lucky. People who love horror art will know who Graham is. He's probably, one of the most famous poster artists alive. He did Nightmare on Elm Street. He did Evil Dead. He
That's
did The
right. Yeah, I
Boy in
remember that
Black.
now.
What We Do in the Shadows, Inside Number Nine. So like Graham is a legend, and we're very lucky for like 12 years now we've had a relationship with Graham where he's done pieces for us. I think this is the fifth thing he's done for us, or the fourth. And because we decided, okay, right, let's use these songs, let's get these songs ready and let's do something with them. And then we were like, okay, I need some art, and we were like, oh, what do we do? And EJ, who owns the label, was just like, look, I don't care, just go and ask Graham, just go and ask him. And I was like, Graham, on the off chance, Graham is the kind of guy who's so busy you need to wait 6 months to get him. And I was like, Graham, got 4 weeks.
Right.
And a sketch, you know. Actually, I have the sketch here. This is weird. It's sitting in front of my computer. So there,
Oh my
oh,
God, that's so cool. Yeah, I love it. That's
that's my sketch for it. I got a little weird filter on here that's not letting me see it properly. But so I drew that and sent it to him. And
wow.
I, any chance, Graham? Any chance? And he was like, yeah, okay, fine. So the man's a miracle worker, you know, and very. I'm. It's hard to explain what a nerd I am about this. I'm so thrilled that he's involved in it and that he continues to patronize us with his
I
charity,
think
you know.
part of it though, man, is having good direction. Like whenever you work with people like Graham or other artists of note, I think a lot of their frustration will come from people who don't know what they want, and
Right.
like it's something that we've never had a problem with. Like, Philly's showed you a sketch there. Like, we can go back to the first demo and you'll see Philly's sketches for what the art should look like. So
Yeah.
we've always had a really, really good like internal kind of editing system for knowing, right, okay, this is exactly what we want and we don't want to waste people's time. And
Yeah,
like, even though I'm saying this, we have also, Philly will tell you, spent thousands of dollars on artwork that will never be seen. You
yeah.
know,
Right.
Like we've done things. Yeah, when there
huge
was.
budget on nothing like that was
Yeah,
never ever used.
yeah,
You
when
know?
there wasn't agreement, or it doesn't always work. Sometimes we didn't have a strong enough idea, or we didn't brief somebody properly, or we didn't really know what we wanted, or we went to someone that was kind of a punt, and it just didn't work out. But you have to, as they say on the internet, take an L. So you take an
Yeah.
L and you just go, right, that's not going to work. I was reading recently about Iron Maiden's album Dance of Death. The cover of
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
It's awful, but the Wikipedia page about that album is so interesting because it was a painting. Rod Smallwood said, "Oh, it doesn't look finished, needs more people in it." He got someone from the IronMaiden.com staff to
Really.
use this modeling software to put like dummies in, and then
Right.
he sent it back to the artist and was like, "Can you make this good?" And the artist just went, "Hands off, man! I'm not doing this." So that's how you.
Though, man, I have to say it remains a huge problem because there's a band like Dark
Oh,
Angel where they have had like an album that's been people have been waiting 35 years for this record to come out, and
That's
it's coming
right.
out next week. But the
Yeah.
artwork that came out was AI artwork,
oh, the
and like
Dark
it
Angel.
just makes it makes you yeah, it just makes you kind of feel as if like what value do they put on this if they don't want to spend money on the design or the art,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
kind of stupid.
I was going to ask you about AI artwork. Yeah, I mean, you can understand like why some bands use it, but
I
I don't.
can't. I
I
can't.
don't.
I can't go for it, man. I
I
can't go
don't
for it.
agree with it.
I don't agree with it. Like, look. I mean, look at. Okay, like Joe said earlier. Look at our demos we did 23 years ago. There was no AI art. There was.
No,
We didn't know anyone who had Photoshop. But what did we do? I sat in front of the TV in my mom's house on the armchair with coloring pencils, and I drew the bloody demo, and then our guitar player scanned it. And
exactly.
that's. I
That's how I
mean,
used to do things, isn't it? Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
that is
yeah.
still an option. You don't have to be good at drawing. You
No,
don't have to. You can go and find other people who are creative
And
visually, and you can work with
the
them.
a crazy thing though about that is we toured with Artillery, and whenever they did the cover for Terror Squad, which is a legendary thrash album, those dudes said that Noise Records, or no, it wasn't Noise, it was Neat Records, said that they had to provide the artwork themselves. And I think that was a big thing back in the day, is like what we're talking about, where people have no budget and they're like, do you know anybody who could do a drawing for us?
Yeah, and I just think there's no excuse for it. I
there's not.
understand the allure of it. I think now what it says to me, especially visual AI, people use LLMs and stuff for work. I understand that if people are
Mm,
doing like boring nonsense at work and they want a computer to do half it for them, I get that. But like the generative visual I think it says people don't care. And the other thing that the other group of people who fall into it as a trap are people who aren't visually inclined, like
mm,
like Slayer or whatever, who don't really have a really good idea of what's apart from their logo, which is legendary. But they don't really have a good sense for what like visual things are. They'll go to it because they're like, well, that's an answer. Deicide, they were like, that's fine. There's the answer. We got some art and it's done, and they don't care. And the art has no idea behind it. It's a devil face, and they're like, it needs to be a devil face. Type in devil face
yeah,
result. So like,
I
I
don't. I
there's
don't.
my
I don't agree with AI. As soon as like I ask that question about AI, I usually like if they say yeah, it's AI. I'm like, it's
no, it's
part.
a good
It's
question. It
not
is a
part of the
good
journey, is
question.
it? It's not part of
It's a
the
big
journey.
topic, and it's not. There's nothing in AI, even when people are using it and putting prompts into it and really putting the work in. People who describe themselves as AI artists, to my mind, they're not artists. They're using an average machine. They're
Of
people who
course,
are pricing themselves
Yeah.
on using a Gumph generator. You know,
basically, yeah.
like look at Graham Humphrey's art.
Like it's
Graham's
not just
great
in
at his art.
it's not just in our microcosm of heavy metal. Like, Tears for Fears used AI for the last album,
Yeah, and you could
and
see it.
then had to try and defend it in the press. Like, and it's it's sad, as you said. Like it's just like, what is not worth money anymore? It's like, if art is not worth anything, then like what the fuck?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I've had this argument with people on Twitter because I'm mouthy. People who are like, I make heavy metal using AI, and they've sent me links to the stuff,
That really fucks me off. That
and it's
annoys me.
rubbish. And
Yeah,
it's rubbish. Like at least pick up a guitar and be rubbish for yourself.
exactly. Of
Learn something. You don't learn anything when you use AI.
course you don't.
And it's just it's a machine that uses a summary of existing things to make a mixed version of existing things. So like, and people would accuse our band of being that, but we are people learning stuff and being creative by doing
Exactly.
it. Yeah,
And if
so
you're doing it a long time, and that says a lot, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
it means that we don't have to quit, I suppose.
Mega successful, so that's so cool. And I mean, let's go away from AI because it bores my piss as well. To be honest with you, especially the YouTube, the where they're saying, "Oh, I made it." Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So you said about so obviously this EP is coming out. Is there plans to get out a full blown album this year as well? Then maybe.
Joe?
I guess like it's one of those weird things. Like for the first time in the band's career ever, I guess since the band started, there hasn't been a massive like idea where we have to get a record out next year, no matter what. So and I guess it's because we have 8 albums, and we're getting into that kind of thing of slightly being a legacy band. I don't know, Philly. Maybe it does feel weird saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like we're always creative. I would say that like is that even though we mightn't be saying we're going to bring out a record soon, me and Philly have written at least 6 songs in the last 6 months. So we're always doing stuff. But like I don't know if we're doing stuff at the minute directly towards making a record. Like
Yeah, we don't have a lot of juice at the minute that way. We've all been quite busy in normal life. I think weirdly this EP was a really good flex of the creative muscle because we hadn't done anything together. Like we played shows and stuff last year, and but like we hadn't made anything together in ages. Pardon me.
Okay.
And I think when the idea for the EP came about, there was a real flurry of activity, and we were all talking every day, talking quite a lot, and that's on the creative side, and it's on the businessy kind of side of sorting out what we're going to do and all the rest. And to be honest, that was a great shot in the arm. I think everybody was like, "Oh, cool," we're getting shit done. So that's been good. And as Joe said, we're being creative all the time. But like, I think Sea Savage and Bats, the last 2 albums, came together quite close together, and it was quite an intense period of work. 2020 right through to 2024, we were pretty much working on music and touring. And maybe this is a reaction to that. I don't know. We're only getting back to gigging now. To be honest, at the end of last year, we were like, right, needed to take some time to step back to our real lives, kind of. So about 6 months now, we've been doing that. We haven't really played any shows. So, getting back on the road now. And I think we're all feeling quite ready for that. But album-wise, no. I've got tons of ideas. I write lyrics all the time. Sent Joe lyrics the other night. I'd say I've written, since Bats, I've probably written about 18 songs worth of lyrics, maybe 20. Just, as you do, have an idea, write them down. So whether any of those will ever become songs, I don't know.
All right.
Some of them are demos. But yeah, like we're focusing on the live thing and getting the EP out,
Yeah.
I think part of the thing about the EP is that from band started, we always had a history of like having non-album kind of songs that would come out as B-sides or whatever. And around the time of Tales from the Grave in Space, we had written so many songs, so there was a decision made to be like, let's have like a 6-song EP of spare songs. And like part of that was because I would overwrite for records, and like it's kind of the same on this. Like I think all the songs from this EP or songs that I would have written for Bats that like were like, let's move this on here. Actually, me and Philly talked about this loads, and there's a song called Necronomicon Automaton, and then there's another song called Necropanzer. So at least they'll not end up on the same EP at the same time.
Yeah, because we were like,
Necro,
we can't have 2 songs in the album, Necro in the title. And then somehow the shuffle, they both got off the album. So now we've got both of them on the EP. So real genius.
Sometimes my pronunciation is crap, so I didn't want to say no there. Yeah, I mean necro.
That's what I like about it. I like that it's really fiddly. Actually, when we come up with the title, I immediately sent the title when I come up with it to Danny Filth. I was like, "You never got that one," and he was like, "What the hell, I didn't."
I can't remember which band it was.
Billy, I was going to say though, like you would probably agree though that like back in the day, like the band's B-side type songs were of less consequence. Like, and I guess
one of
the big things is like after stuff like the Half Cut EP or like 2016 and or 666% Insane. Right. There were like a bunch of like B-side songs that really felt B-sidey.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until we did like a Thunder Over London that it was like, oh wow, like this is a B-side that's actually really an A-side.
Yeah, and you can do it on its own. And you know, we did the Pogues cover with Spider Stacy, and I think that was, and we have a Christmas song as well. And it's like, yeah, like those songs feel. Yeah, we've definitely reached a point now where we can rely on our songwriting more to deliver a one shot if we want to. Yeah. We might do something before we do another album. We have a couple ideas, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of keen just to get back gigging and have a good spring and summer shows and hanging out together more because you know real life gets in the way and real life happens. So kind of getting that muscle built up and having fun together again, and you know that will lead naturally to the right stuff. You know,
of course. All the experiences, and I mean, you've got like a massive tour coming up, haven't you? It's like basically the whole of the UK. I mean,
yeah, it's split up over a couple of different. It's split up over a couple of different like legs, but yeah, we're doing quite a few in the UK and Ireland, with Raised by Owls, top content creators, raised by Owls.
I love the name.
I love it. Where the hell does the name come from? I have to ask them when we see them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because they're good lads. They're very funny, you know.
Okay, that sounds cool. So what about on release day for this EP? Do you plan to do like a live stream, or are you going to do anything special?
So, well, we're going to be on the tour. It's out on the 18th, and the tour starts on the 17th. So we're actually going to be playing in Plymouth that night. Yeah, I guess we'll do I think the plan is like after the show. We'll record ourselves live, like do a live.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. All before.
Yeah, when we get back to our little hotel, so that'll be quite late at night, but we'll do that because we always tend to stay up and have a few beers and a smoke and that kind of thing. So, yeah, like no major stuff. We've got some really good PR people working with us now. The guys from Employed to Serve actually are our PR people, Sammy and Justine. So
cool.
They're real go-getters, those guys. So I'm sure they'll poke us into doing something.
Yeah, I had a little snarl there because I'm from Exeter originally. Plymouth's like a swear word to me. Even all these years later, I live up in the northeast now. I live by Newcastle.
Right.
Yeah. Even now, someone says Plymouth, like it's a swear word.
Well, we had a nice time there last time.
It is actually very good for gigs. I don't know if the pavilions are still down there, but it's a really good
I don't know, man. It's the
good
Junction. Motley Plain is where we're playing down in the Junction. Motley Plain.
I think you're playing the Tavern in Exeter. That's a good, fantastic.
I remember, I think maybe years ago we played in Exeter. You know.
Yeah.
15 years ago, you know. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, again, I had hair back there and I lived down there. Right. So, well, sorry. Right, and so when you're out on the road, who has the most annoying habit?
Everyone. Everyone is really annoying. Joe, do you want to start? Let's go through everyone.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like the thing is, in normal life, like what would be considered an annoying trait, like might be amplified by 10 by hanging about in a bus, and like. This is going to sound so weird, but we hang about driving around in silence where people are doing work on their laptops.
Really?
Or listen to classical music, or maybe watching Raiders of the Lost Ark on their phone. But like, it's really
really chill.
It's going to sound dweeby as fuck, but like, yeah, that's what we want to do. We just want to hang about being nice and quiet. And stopping in the M&S and having a nice time there.
Yeah, so that's what we do. But like, yeah,
Have a nice time.
we want to just definitely them. Yeah, so like who's annoying? Everyone's annoying. Everyone has different things that are annoying. Chris air drums. He drums on the air, which
Does
is
it?
annoying. Yeah, and he goes on about Lars Ulrich, and we always tell him if you mention Lars Ulrich, you have to buy us a beer. And Chris doesn't drink, so that's extra good. Joe's farts are unbelievable. I clear my throat all the time. It's really annoying, and I can't stop talking. Damo also does unbelievably bad farts. Um, his are really bad as well, and he snores. And JR screams in his sleep, which
Lovely.
is really scary. Um, we all have something going on, like all the different things.
It makes it sound too scary, man. Like whenever I think about that and the additional crew of who we're going to be hanging about with lots over the next couple of months, it makes it sound like a really,
A
really
scary,
scary.
unpleasant prospect. Like, yeah.
Yep.
No, it's like it's good crack. Like, so you have to. There's a thing that touring teaches you. I think if all kids could go on tour when they turn 20, it would teach you a lot of things. And the biggest lesson is go limp. Just go limp. Like if you're away traveling, going to a place, waiting around and I mean waiting around, sitting in some room you wouldn't want to be in, waiting until nighttime, being really tired, then doing the thing you came to do, having a nice time, maybe not having a nice time. You need a lot of patience and you have to learn how to go limp. You have to just go, okay. And things that are annoying, you have to go, and it teaches you to not complain, other stuff. You have to be very patient. So it's good. It's good for humility, touring. And I think we're all very practiced in it now. As Joe says, we're quite lucky now. We've had quite a few down dips and this one's an up dip. So now we get to stay in decent hotels, play in venues that usually, touch wood, have people in them.
Yeah.
Meet nice people, have a couple of beers. We don't go mental. Like, we do go mental some nights.
I
Usually,
used to. Yeah, I know what you mean. It makes me laugh when you're saying, Ricky Warwick, yeah?
yeah.
Before we joined like the Lizzie business and everything. He used to stay at the travel lodge at my work.
Yes.
And it was quite funny because like he used to play like shitty little bars in Newcastle and hardly anyone would turn up. It was really shit and sad at the time. And then suddenly he's joined Thin Lizzy. And then I met him like a few years later and I'm like, he's staying at Travel Lodge. He's like, looked at me up and down and said, don't be so fucking stupid. That's like, of course you're not, man. You're loaded now. You don't have to. And his career's just gone from straight to straight, hasn't it?
Oh, it really has.
He would have been way better off keeping the differential between staying in the Travel Lodge and the Ritz and keeping that for some sort of post-stroke era,
And I've got a few stories from working at Travel Lodge actually with musicians. There was like Spike at the Choir Boys, and I'll come back late on shift and early in the morning, and like the cleaner wouldn't let him in, and I'm like, you do know who that is? And she's like, no. I'm like, fucking supported Guns N' Roses back in the day, and you're not letting him into the room. Well, he has to pay £10. He won't pay the £10. I'm like, just fucking
excellent,
crazy days. And I'm like, you, and I was like, amazing. And I've had a piss with Spike as well at Hard Rock Hell. Another claim to fame.
Yes, I met them I was on the plane over to Hellfest on the Ryanair flight, and they sat beside Spike and the guitar player, and I was like, well, because I was like, he's going to Hellfest. I didn't know who they were, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, what, are you using a band? And they're like, yeah, we're Choir Boys. And I was like, no shit, you guys did Top of the Pops and everything. And they were like, yeah. And now we're on the Ryanair flight. But they were good lads, and they were like the real deal. They had the bandanas on them, 7:30, bandanas on, eyeliner on, cowboy boots, wee glasses from Boots, like the whole deal.
Totally
glasses that come in a wee capsule out of Boots.
Just through pure laziness, I'm gonna go for Seeds of Love by Tears for Fears, and True Blue by Madonna, and let's think maybe Steel Town by Big Country. There you go. There's 3 in a row.
Those are bangers.
I'm not necessarily joking. Like there are 3 albums that I would easily put up.
Love those albums. Okay, let me think. What are 3 albums that I love? I love Love and Theft by Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah.
I think it's his best latter stage album, maybe one of his best albums of all time.
Well.
Huh?
High water rising.
Indeed. So yeah, I love that album. I love, what else is a banger start to finish? Abbey Road, massive fan of Abbey Road. And then metal albums, I would either go Holy Diver or Live After Death, just for the crack, because Live After Death was kind of the album that got me into heavy metal. So I would say maybe Live After Death. I'm also a massive fan of Game Over by Nuclear Assault. It's absolutely...
Yeah. You know what, like, it's something that I guess as well, like, it's so weird now that Nuclear Assault aren't a band anymore and they're not playing, but like...
Oh, we're back. Did I not say they were kind of back?
No, like, they did their last show there in 2022.
I thought
but
I
like...
or Tony Romantic.
I can never remember his surname. Dan, is it like?
Yeah, Dan Liker. He still plays a lot,
yeah. All right.
We spent a lot of the time in our early career kind of going on basically as their PR people talking about it, how amazing they are, like, you know. And I kind of
they were really cool.
It feels weird, like, now that, like, we're literally in like this middle age kind of thing, and people are asking the Stones who your influences are. Like, when we're like, yeah, again, we're still. That's the only thing we want to talk about is Nuclear Assault.
Brilliant. Love it.
It's as true as it was in 2002.
It's just as true. We love Nuclear Assault.
It's as important and cool as it was back then. Like,
absolutely, we still love them, and we had such a great.
I can't kind of say that about Exodus and a bunch of other bands, but like for Nuclear Assault, yeah, it's still like, oh my god.
Okay, Canker are another band who it absolutely holds true. We still absolutely love, and to be honest, like Sodom has not done for me.
Sodom just released a single today, haven't they? It's fantastic.
Yeah, their new album, The Arsonist, is coming out. Like, and we've met Sodom, and like, do we get on that well with them? I don't know. I don't know if Tom is the friendliest guy ever, but like, we've met them, and every time I see Sodom, I'm still just like, this. I just love this, and it hasn't gotten old for me. It really hasn't. If you like that one, it's like AC/DC. If you like that one thing they do, there's another 50 songs. So yeah, like a lot of records we like there, but.
Which musician, dead or alive, would you have in your car for a 24-hour road trip?
That's a great question. Who wouldn't annoy you over 24 hours, or who would you like to annoy you? I think Tom Waits would be great in the car for 24 hours.
Someone else has said that recently. Yeah,
I think he'd be great because he'd be up for being quiet, or if you said stuff, he would have mad things to say.
True.
So?
Well, like, Gillian Anderson did have one song out, like, so I guess does that count?
Shoot your shot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I think get her
in
there.
That. I like that.
24 hours. Who knows? Who knows what would happen in 24 hours? It's raining. Get closer. Scooch across. You know, it's cold. The heater doesn't work, Gillian. We're lost. We're lost, Gillian. We're lost in the woods. We're gonna have to repopulate.
Right.
No, that's not the mistake. But yeah. All right. So if there was like a made-up song, like a totally made-up song about your personality, what would it be called?
That's a good question. A made-up song about my personality. It would be called Nice But Annoying.
I know what my song would be called. It'd be called Where Are My Keys?
Where are my keys? All right, fair enough.
Or the classic, where's your mobile phone while you're on it? And you're looking for your mobile phone. And
yeah, totally. Just looking around for it on it there.
Always happens to me. Always. Okay, so if you were a musical instrument, what would you be?
Yeah, good question. I think I'd be an oud, which is an interesting kind of stringed instrument.
An oud. Okay, I'm going to be Googling that.
I'm going to have to go back to the egg. I would like to be a nice, like a tie-dyed egg shaker, you know.
Yeah, one of them dipped ones. One of them ones that's been dipped into like tie-dye colors.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. If that's my greatest hope in life.
Is it really? All right. Do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
Yep, just wanted to say thank you for sticking with us. I hope you enjoyed the new EP, Necronomicon Automaton. Try saying that 10 times fast, which is out April 18th. Joe, any message for the people at home?
I'm not going to try and pronounce that whatsoever, kids. But yeah, stay out of school and stay on drugs and have a great time.